Jim, down in Charlotte, Marek talked about him, not believing that he'd be in that spot, talking to the team down there. How have you seen him grow, as a person in the years he's been here?
Who?
Marek?
Marek. He helped us right away his freshman year, which nobody thought would happen. I know he didn't. I don't know if I did. But he stepped in a really, crucial situation and really made a difference with our team. And I think he's gotten better. I think that he's a guy that does a lot of things for us when he's out there, wherever he's playing. And he's a playmaker. And there's not that many 6'10" guys that are playmakers, but he certainly is one. Last year, with the type of team we had, he didn't get to make as many plays because Tyus and Roche, and to some extent Frank and Elijah, they made plays. They were more playmakers. I think this year, with the change in the lineup, Marek is going to have an opportunity to do more with the ball and be more of a playmaker, which I think will be good for us. It'll be important. His experience, Elijah's experience is important. Rama's, that's all very important for these things. And the experience that Jalen and Buddy got last year will help them. They were in big situations. The last part of 20 games of the year, and Buddy was in big situations the whole time. And that'll help them this year. But how these young guys fit in is going to be important for the overall success of what we do this year.
And I think if they do play man, it's probably more of a three-quarter press thing than anything.
Yeah, and Barama Sidibe said these guys like playing man. That's what they played in high school, a lot of them. It's more free, it's more intuitive, and it lets them get on the break like Boeheim's talked about too, so it even maximizes the offense a little bit. But I hear this every year. I hear Boeheim tease this every single year, and then it's just mostly zone the rest of the way. Like that Seth Davis piece, 35%. I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
I think we'll see it a little bit in the preseason, as Goody mentioned, especially in the exhibition games. But by the time we get to January, by the time we get to ACC play, I think it's going to be, if not exclusively zone, it's going to be mostly zone.
Hey guys, we're here at the Carrier Dome. Matt Gutierrez, James Szuba, Bobby Manning. You remember us from earlier outside Mello. Well, now we're inside. They let us all in.
Somehow.
Dumb of them.
Well, I don't know why they let us in, but we're here.
Jalen Carey was really a revelation in this one. It looked like he just was so much more in control, dumping into Sidibe and everything else he was doing out there.
Yeah, I thought Jalen looked great. It was his birthday tonight. He got a nice reward out there.
20? Is he no longer a teenager now? Is he 20?
That's right. You become wiser when you're no longer a teenager. So
20 years old.
Decision making has improved. Boeheim said that earlier in the day. He's seen better decision making out of Carey.
It's no secret this team is going to be a three-point shooting team.
They need it, and that's the one thing they're going to be able to lean on. Some things are sloppy. The finishing around the rim was really shaky, but in a game like this, I'm not going to harp too much on that. The offense is there. They have a bunch of offensive pieces that they can run through, and the one thing I love, multiple ball handlers. That's my thing in basketball. Multiple guys you can run it through. Marek getting the second passes and throwing it up to Edwards like he did. I love it.
Oh, yeah? Oh, we started? What's going on, guys? James Szuba from NunesMagician.com. I'm joined by my colleague Bobby Manning and the Athletic, formerly the DO, Matthew Gutierrez. He's here with us as well. And we're coming to you from the Carrier Dome tonight, where we just kicked off the orange versus white scrimmage. And we saw a lot out of this game tonight. I think there were a few takeaways. maybe the defense wasn't exactly at the level of intensity that it would be during a normal game, but there were a few takeaways from tonight. So Bobby, I'll kick it to you. What did you see tonight?
Well, the big thing for me right now is that. Wait, hold on. I thought you were going. I thought we were doing what's this team capable of. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Why'd you put me on one?
I was just gonna go with it, but then I was like, wait, we just did that.
Scratch that. Put that in the bloopers. Well, what's going on, guys? James Szuba of NunesMagician.com. I'm joined by my colleague Bobby Manning, and we got a special treat in Matthew Gutierrez from The Athletic, formerly the DO. You might recognize this guy. And we saw the Orange versus White scrimmage tonight here in the Carrier Dome. Just curious, what do we think this team is capable of that you saw, Bobby? Obviously, not a ton of stock you can put into this one, but what do you think this team is capable of?
I think they could be a more refined version of that 2017 team that had so much shooting, so much offense, but nothing really clicked with them. There wasn't much from the team before that carried over from that Final Four team. This team still has more veteran presence than we think. Elijah Hughes is still here, Sadibe's still here, and Dolezaj was killing it in the passing game tonight. I think that's going to lend more to this team than people give credit to, along with a talented group of freshmen. The defense is going to struggle. Boeheim's been clear about that, and I think it was pretty evident tonight that defense just has holes all over it and coherency issues. But when you can shoot the ball the way this team does, that's going to make up for a lot of things.
They were probably one of the more talented teams that have come through here in the last several years.
Offensively, definitely.
Yeah, and offensively with Torian, Leiden, Adel, and White, and Gillen. I mean, it's some legitimate
older guys. That's the big difference. This team's young. When you have young talent, they can be the greatest players in the world, but it's tough coming into this team, this system.
Especially in this system.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I do think this team is capable of the NCAA tournament. I think at their worst, they're going to be a bubble team. At their worst, they might be on the outside of the outer edge of the bubble. But capability-wise, I think they can be like an 8 seed if things go well, right? They're probably going to realistically be a 500 team in conference.
Sure.
I think if they handle non-conference and go 500 or a little above 500 in conference, that's solid.
Bobby, do you think it's going to be another sweating it out on Selection Sunday this year?
I'm interested to see what the ACC schedule does, and we were talking about that earlier. They were talking about it in Charlotte. It helps. Like, you had 18 before, and that tough schedule really ramped it up. The thing is, it took off the non-conference strength of schedule this year a little bit, which helps with a young team. I mean, how those two things balance out, I don't think anyone's sure. Only 2 wins against Tony Beck then under that era, right? And one of them was the comeback with the press and all of that.
Right.
It's a tough matchup.
That was an NIT year.
Excuse me, but I love that coach. That is one good coach.
I'm not going to make too many friends in the Syracuse community.
Coach, you've called on Braden for spot minutes here or there. What do you expect from him when he does it?
Not make mistakes, play defense, hustle. He can shoot. I think if he gets somebody's going to leave him open, he can make shots. But he did a good job. He was fine. I wanted to get him in there, and then just so he's been in the game. I thought Barama was good. We rested him, got some treatment, and I thought he was very, very good. He's not himself, but he gave us 17 really good minutes. If we can get that out of Pascal and him, 14 rebounds, 11 points, 2 or 3 blocks, that helps our team.
Jim, how is Marek's passing high above the three-point line help the offense?
Well, it gets Thomas away from the basket, and if he doesn't come up, he can make that. It opens up things for the drive. When Pascal's in there, Thomas stays right in the middle of the lane. We can't get anything going to the basket, and they're such a good perimeter defensive team that it's hard to get shots out there. You have to find a way to get him away so when you do drive, you got a chance to finish. But it was strictly trying to be more mobile. And then when Barama went in, he was really good in the first half. He made some plays that really made a difference for us. And one of the keys, when we got to 6, we pressed. We got 2 big turnovers and scores, and we went up 12. Then they got an easy one, so I think the press served its purpose. We got up 12 or 13 with it, and that gave us enough separation. We weren't good at the end of the game in terms of just being patient, moving the ball. We did a fairly good job, but then we missed the shot. So
when you're taking time off and moving the ball and you get a good shot, you have to make that shot. We didn't do that, but they're a very good team and a lot of veteran guys. And this is a tough week. We got a lot of basketball Saturday here. Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Monday. So, I thought this was a good overall effort.
All right, from the Carrier Dome, Bobby Manning, Jeff Goodman, Stadium, CLNS Media. We're both CLNS Media. Pretty sweet. ACC opener. Did it work? I don't know. We had a 34-point performance from Syracuse here. Virginia
We're going to talk about Cole Anthony's 34-point performance.
That's one I would have rather have watched tonight.
It was not pretty. I drove 4 hours for this thing. And, no, it wasn't pretty, but...
Syracuse, Virginia, different kind of opener here. We get an ACC matchup in November, the beginning of November, and it was rough as it possibly could have been. The worst Syracuse performance in the KenPom era, definitely in the Carrier Dome, and Virginia wasn't much better. Did it work?
Not as well as I think they would have liked, because again, it was ugly. And you know the Virginia games are going to be ugly because Guy's not here anymore. Neither is Ty Jerome. So it's going to be a defensive-minded Virginia team, like those old Tony Bennett teams. The problem is, can Syracuse get it going? Do they have enough guys that can do something off the bounce? Do they have enough guys that can make shots? It's hard to say after game one against a Virginia team. It was the worst possible matchup for Jim Boeheim.
I was so excited all day. You have the national champions coming in, 22,000 here. I mean, you're here. That says something.
Huge
and
day.
You're probably regretting coming here with a snowstorm coming in already. Boeheim called it stupid. He doesn't want to see this. He thinks it's too early. I thought
he called Matt Norlander from CBS stupid. It wasn't Norlander he called stupid? I could have. All right, anyway. So, no, listen, what are we doing?
3, 2, 1. Bobby Manning, Jeff Goodman from the Carrier Dome. Jeff probably regretting that he made this trip to Syracuse after we saw the Orange score 34 points here. The ACC
I get to
was
see you,
thanking
Bobby. It was good. It was worth the 4-hour drive.
CLNS Media connection right here.
That's right.
The Good and Funny podcast. Great to have you here. I thought this was going to look better. I thought this was going to be more fun. I love the idea of having an ACC matchup to begin the year. We have a game we care about. It's not Colgate. It's Virginia, the national champs coming in here, and it just flatlined. Like, I feel like a lot of the ACC network stuff has gone so far.
Yeah, Jim Boeheim didn't love the idea of this. Certainly coming out of it with a loss, going up against a Virginia team that is now back to what it was a few years ago, before Ty Jerome, before Kyle Guy. Built on defense. That's the biggest thing right now, and Jim Boeheim said it. This team wasn't ready to play a team like Virginia to open the season. Not the best defensive team in the country, and that's what they looked like they were. Combination of Syracuse not being able to make enough shots, not having enough guys to be able to put it on the floor, and Virginia just, again, doing what they did.
You had a couple matchups say across the ACC. This was supposed to be the marquee one, sort of a testing ground for the ACC, a money grab, as Boeheim called it. Do you think they're going to do this in coming years? It's great TV, but...
No, from what I was told, it's a one-year deal. This was a one-year deal because the ACC network was starting out, and I think this will be it. I think the coaches are okay with it, knowing it was a one-year deal. I think they'd be vehemently opposed to it if they try to do it again, especially Boeheim, but at least they kept him at home, right? He doesn't have to fly back tonight anyway.
I get to stay here, you get to come up to Syracuse, it's a good deal. The stars in this game, Elijah Hughes, struggling like much of the offense. Diakite put his foot down well on this one, putting it on the floor from 10 feet, getting it inside. What do you think of those two guys?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Diakite is a guy with experience. Hughes needs more help. And again, I thought he forced a lot, but again, you're going to do that against Virginia. To me, I thought the difference maker was Kihei Clark. You know, he was a guy, almost had a triple-double, 11 rebounds. I mean, how tall is Kihei Clark?
He's down here on us.
5'7", 5'8". I mean, whatever he is, that's a career high, he told me, including high school. Never had 11 rebounds. So give him credit. And that's where Syracuse, to me, was kind of outworked a little bit. They should be able to dominate on the glass because, frankly, you can't allow Kihei Clark to get 11.
How many does Carmelo Anthony put up if he goes out there? I think that's what they needed.
They definitely needed the old Carmelo. I don't know if the new Carmelo could put that many up. I don't. I've seen him in the Mellow Gym. Yeah, he looked good at least. I mean, definitely did look good. But I think even Carmelo Anthony might have had trouble scoring against this Virginia defense.
Jim, how do you feel like the team played early when Tyus wasn't scoring?
Well, early, Tyus got going, but they're a good defensive team. They get in your face. We were missing shots. We weren't getting any penetration. When we got it, O'Shea probably missed 2, 3, 4 layups. You got to convert those. Our defense was good throughout, but our offense really struggled early. But we did shoot the ball well from the 3. That makes a difference.
Jim, at Elijah's size, how is he able to be such a powerful shot blocker?
He's got a good spring. He gets a running start on people. He can go get it. That's what he does. He goes and gets it.
Back from Brooklyn, Bobby Manning, Josh Schafer here from the Daily Orange on his first year covering Syracuse basketball, and we have a good one here, don't we?
Bobby, it's not what they told me it'd be like, but we'll see how that changes.
We're looking at the worst start to a Syracuse season under Jim Boeheim, worst overall since '71, where they started 4-4 as well, and here we stand, losses to Virginia, Iowa State, Penn State, Oklahoma State, too many states in the loss column. And too many problems compounding each other on this team. There's issues at point guard. Every player on Syracuse had a turnover in this game. They have interior issues with Sidibe, movement, possession in there. The shooting's been horrible. We've heard it a million times. We just aren't making shots. What do you think is the biggest issue with this team right now? Because they all seem to be impacting each other.
Yeah, like you said, I think there's probably 5 or 6 issues that we could highlight, which is probably why the team's 4-4. For me, I'm going to go down low, because down low is what's deciding this team right now, because it's offensive and defensive. So we've now seen 3 straight games where Syracuse has gotten worked in the paint and let up too much. And Jim Boeheim said tonight, Syracuse can't cover guys like they had to cover tonight. They just can't do it. So that's a problem moving forward too, because I don't know how much better you're going to get. They've tried Jesse Edwards, they've tried Barama Sidibe, they've tried putting Quincy Gutierrez down low. They've kind of tried everything, and they haven't had the defense there. And then it affects offensively too, because kind of what a lot of the guys said tonight and what Boeheim touched on is with these shooters, you can't have a defense that can sag off the guys down low. And the defense right now is sagging off. And right now what that's causing is open lanes down low for the offense, and no one's hitting on them. And if you can't score down low right now for Syracuse, you can't score, and they can't score.
I think the solution ultimately, and the only way this team turns it around, is if they figure out the defense, get stops. They've been forcing turnovers. They forced 4 in the first 4.5 minutes of this game. They haven't been able to get out in transition as much as they want to, and I think that's where they've been great as a shooting team. That's their strength, setting themselves up for shots and forcing the turnovers, like I just said. They just can't clean it up defensively. Too many teams are finding offensive rebounding space on the baseline against them, on the back line. Things are just a mess right now, and everything's impacting everything else. I don't know. You can be critical on the coaches of the talent right now for a recruiting standpoint. You can be critical of the development for some of the guys who have been here for a few years. But there really is just so many problems right now that it's hard to pick one out.
To me, it's hard to see where it gets fixed.
Yeah.
Because there's so many issues. Sure, you say the shooting's going to get better, and I think it will. I do think that the 2 top shooters on this team, Joe Girard and Buddy Boeheim, are legit shooters. I don't think that that's a lie, but when are they going to heat up? They need them to start hitting shots now.
Yeah, and what hurts too is you don't have a Jalen Carey probably for the rest of the season to hopefully get out of that space he was in and impact them from a point guard position where they need a lot of help. Is this starting to feel like a lost season for this team? Because I can't remember a start like this in all my years watching the team, and it doesn't feel like there's an upside like there were with recent teams. I mean, they lost 2 games in New York last year, but you knew it was a veteran team that could figure it out, start playing good defense, and turn it into offense.
Bobby, you can't remember a start of the season like this because it was 1970. We were negative 20-something. I mean, yeah. It is definitely starting to feel like a lost season. I think we'll have a better idea maybe by, say, Christmas time, because they play Georgia Tech this weekend, which for Syracuse is a winnable ACC.
Yeah.
That's a game that Syracuse, if they are to be a tournament team, wins, even at Georgia Tech. You got to turn it around somewhere. and they have a couple more non-conference games that should also be wins. If they lose,
Georgetown is in turmoil right now, which is
if
probably
they
the
lose to
only
Georgetown,
good
sound the
news,
alarms. They probably lost another player while we're doing this.
Georgetown is set to lose about 4 rotation players with just a horrible week that they've had up there. Still figuring out what's going on with them. I guess that's the only positive we have in Syracuse land right now is that Georgetown is falling apart.
Yeah.
I do think if Elijah was doing what he was doing at Syracuse, if he was doing it at a Duke or North Carolina, he would be the front runner for ACC Player
Oh
of the
my
Year.
God. Never mind front runner for that. I mean, he'd be one of the faces of college basketball coverage in the country. And honestly, I don't think any player across college basketball, or at least the ACC, has been more valuable to their team. We talk about Duke. They have Carey. They have Jones. They have a couple bodies there who have collectively made that team a success this year. And I know they have that one bad loss on their resume. They've overall been able to play up to expectations so far. And I think they are going to edge out Louisville for that regular season title because Noir's had some stinkers, frankly. And the latest one was against Kentucky. He hit the big 3 at the end there to send it to overtime, but he was missing in action for most of that game. Here's what, frankly, blows me away about Elijah's season. It's not the 20 points per game, which isn't even something Tyus Battle did here in his 3 years, despite the weight that he had to carry on the squad. It's that every single game he's present. He's been out there scoring the points they need, reaching double figures, being efficient even with it. 41%, 41.6 even on a high volume of threes. He's taking almost 8 per game. He's getting on the back door. He's leading the offense in certain sets. I mean, what he's been able to do across so many different roles offensively for this team while still being a valuable defender, it's one of the most put the team on my back performances that we've seen from this team in 10 years. And maybe it doesn't last in the ACC.
It's saying a lot because Tyus played the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Bobby Manning, Matt Gutierrez from the Carrier Dome. They don't like when I call it that, but I'm going to keep doing it. It says it on the court.
Dome, the cathedral.
It's ridiculous. I mean, no one knows what to call it at this point because they scrap Carrier, but that's another video. We're here for Cornell, Syracuse. The Orange moved to 3-1. Schedule lightening up a little bit this week, but we love this game because Jimmy Boeheim, Buddy Boeheim, Jim Boeheim in the same house.
Julie Boeheim.
When you're writing, you got to do the first names. Julie Boeheim's there too. She was on the side of the presser, so it's the Battle of the Boeheims part 3.
Part 2 with Buddy. Part 3 just Jim and Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Undefeated is Jim Boeheim. Again today, despite Jimmy's best efforts, he had 25 in this one. He was sensational. And you did a little bit of digging into his past. Not always a good player.
No.
The big quote in the piece in The Athletic, Boeheim, you suck.
Yep. When he was little, Jimmy Boeheim was slow on his feet. He dealt with some asthma, which held him back a little bit. Between that and the name on his jersey, he faced some adversity as a kid. He didn't really shoot up until he got into late middle school, into high school. Now he's 6'8", but he was not a huge kid growing up. No scholarship offers out of high school, none. And he was the best player on the court tonight against a Syracuse team that, could be middle of the pack ACC. Pretty good for him. A lot of gradual improvement. Right where we're standing, corner 3, Jimmy with the left, splash, inside, back to the basket, assists, boards. He was the best player on the court tonight, probably the second best player behind Elijah overall.
Unlike, if this was me and Matt, that would be a block shot. But
Wow. We'll see about that.
Matt's had some good games on this court, but for the people who don't know,
Couple.
Jim has a son on his team, a son on Cornell, a daughter who plays college basketball as well.
Played.
Oh,
She's
done
no
now.
longer done, yep.
It's amazing what his children have been able to accomplish athletically. Coming from a family like that, you expect them to be into basketball, but how does kids get into basketball and get to this level, you think?
I think it starts with just their dad and going to all the games they went to. They were alive for the national championship. That was one of their first memories. The Final Fours, the NCAA tournaments, all the big games. So they were a part of that. The 6 OTs, they watched all that. They had the little hoop in what is now an office there that they would play against. Jimmy versus Buddy. Sometimes Sissy or Jamie would tag along. and just gradual improvement. Neither one of them was a top recruit until late. Buddy didn't get offers from Georgetown, Gonzaga, a few other D1s, some Ivies until late in the process. And same with Jimmy. Coach Boeheim, their dad, didn't make calls on their behalf or recruit them, go out of his way to do that.
It's crazy too. Jimmy's the leading scorer on Cornell. Not the best team in the world. They're 1-4 after this, not even close. But Buddy starting for Syracuse this year, and he's looked fantastic. He gets to the starting lineup last year when Tyus Battle gets hurt. He's flinging threes like crazy out here, hitting them at a pretty good mark. He looks like one of the key guys on this team, especially as a trailer and just as a half-court shooter too. He's been one of the steadier scorers on the team. Not lights out from three to start this year, but he's a consistent scorer for this team. And to have a Hall of Fame coach coaching this late in his career here, and then to have his son be that steady of a contributor, there's been a lot of amazing Jim Boeheim moments here. I think this is going to go down. Probably the top 3 moments is his son being this steady of a contributor. Here we are live from Syracuse at the Dome after another win for the Orange here, but again, topics off the court, coming into the locker room as everybody has their thoughts about the Day Hall racism incident, vandalism, graffiti, the N-word used in the bathrooms up there at Day Hall. There's a sitting going as we talk here next door at the Barclays Center at the Arch, and Jim Boeheim gave his thoughts on it today. He seemed to think a lot of priorities come first over something like this. Infrastructure. He ran off a whole list of issues. Gun control. Had a very long, poignant response to it, though, especially in 57 years. He talked about the impact of having a black roommate, campus having the first black athletes here. And he says that Chancellor's heart is in the right place, and that this could have been anybody. That was his takeaway. That could have been someone off campus, that we need to wait and see what's going to happen. Players had a different take on it. Some of them didn't know through the practices and games and such. Seems like they didn't hear about it across the board, but Elijah Hughes took a stand with the protesters, says he thinks they're doing the right thing, and he would even be there with them if it wasn't for the game tonight or in his commitment as an athlete. There was also, in the student section behind here, a plan for a student protest. They were going to try to empty the whole student section tonight as a show of solidarity for the protesters who had planned to be there until 1 a.m. tonight. And bands still showed up. I talked to a couple of them. They said they want to still be here for the team. They wanted to watch basketball. They didn't see how it was related to what was going on next door, even though they respected the decision by Otto's Army, who apparently had people outside telling them about the protest that was planned to be happening here. So a very emotional week on campus as we have yet another racial incident here that administration and even athletics is grappling with, because everybody is at home here at Syracuse, and across the board, everyone knows that it's just a terrible thing that has to be dealt with here. And it brings a lot of issues to the forefront that we talk about in times like this, but we need to pull forward, whether it's mental health, whether it's resources for black students on campus, whether it is growing inequality in terms of numbers and income on campus. All that stuff is valid, and it's why I think people are sounding off about it here. We got some thoughts from the athletes, more of that over at NunesMagician.com, but a very emotional week at Syracuse continues tonight as the sitting continues next door. And we'll see how it develops through the various people who are covering it. Great job by the Daily Orange and all the rest who were at the sit-in all night long. Bobby Manning from the Dome in Syracuse.
What did you talk to Frank about when you pulled him early in that second half?
You know, he fouled a guy and couldn't make it. He was off balance jump shot. He fouled him. Then he turned it over twice. Tried to throw Pascal the ball where he can't catch it legitimately, and then he threw it out of bounds. I mean, we can't play like that. You know, you can't make plays like that. Senior, you got to be better.
Coach, how do you feel about those double teams you threw at them, especially on the sides of the zone?
Well, we double a little bit when it's in the corner, not a lot, but a little bit.
Jim, in these second halves against the last 3 top 10 teams you played, what have you seen gone wrong? You know, you take the lead in the halftime and then the second half.
That's it. We played really well. They just took over and dominated the game in the second half. They shot it well, and their defense picked up. You know, we had no answers for it.
Jim, how is Robert Braswell doing?
Robert's, he's just a little bit out of the rotation right now, and we'll just have to see over the next couple of games.
After the good look at the bench tonight that you got, how much do you feel like they can give you going forward?
Well, I think Quincy and Bryson, we're trying to get those two guys ready. That's important. I think, those are two guys I'm most concerned with, and but we'll see how we go moving ahead. But Jesse gets overpowered in there a lot, but he's just got to get strong. He's got a good instincts for the game, especially on offense, and he's long. Rebounding is going and getting the ball. You got to go get it. We need to do a better job with everybody rebounding. They have a guard that got 10 rebounds. We have to get more out of our guards. We got to get more out of everybody. But at the bottom line is we have to get something more out of the center position, at least rebounding for sure. Points are always nice, but we have to rebound. We start out the game, I think Brahma had 2 layups, missed them both. Had a couple good opportunities to get defensive rebounds, didn't get them, and he just didn't look like he was moving. He didn't get in position. He fouled a couple times. If he just moved his feet, he would have been in a better position. But he's got to be able to contribute for us to be successful. There was 2 or 3 plays Brahma didn't jump. The last time I looked, to get a rebound, you had to jump, and he didn't jump. So I had his coach yelling at him, "Jump!" When you have to tell a player to jump, you got trouble.
Jim, how often do you see a shorter guy like their point guard play the high post against you?
That happens sometimes, but we don't mind that because he's not going to score in there. Our defense wasn't the problem tonight. We've got to be able to score to win.
How many guys have you coached over the years that can do as many things as Marek's been able to do this year and all these years?
He's good at the 4. It's good to have a versatile guy there. We've had a few guys that can do some of those things, but he's really versatile player. Plays center, plays forward. He handles the ball, takes it out. He's a huge key to what we do.
What about Duke makes it so hard to finish those runs? You get close and then it seems like they score a big bucket after a foul or something like that. What makes it so hard to finish those runs against them?
Well, we did last year, didn't we? They're good. They're in the top 10 for a reason. They got a very good team. They're big. Got a lot of size down there.
Challenged you during the regular season. It seemed like you guys were more prepared for this matchup.
I think the second time we played them, we were pretty good. They just hit a couple threes at the end of the game and stuff like that that brought them back into the game. Today we did a much better job defensively, ran them off the line, and just made them take tough shots.
In your third year here now, this is the first time you've had a deep run in the March. How does it feel for you and some of the other guys who have been here for a few years now to be able to play some extra games that you haven't in years before?
Yeah, it feels good. We know, it sucks sitting at home and watching it on TV and being on spring break. You don't want to be on spring break. You want to be playing in March and be part of March Madness and all that stuff. So, it's the college basketball dream is to be able to play in March, and we know that we've worked hard enough to make it here now.
Bobby Manning, CLNS Media. Jim, you called that Duke win a landmark moment for this program earlier in the year. Multiple big wins for the program as a whole. What is this year meaning for Boston College as a program?
I'll let you know when it's done. But again, we're proud. I'm proud of these guys. Like I said, they've been through so many things, and it's good for these guys to have these moments because it's something to revert back on. And again, we have no seniors. So a lot of these guys, including Kai, is playing his first ACC tournament here. So it's something to build on for our program to build on. But again, it's just confidence. We establish who we are and what we're trying to do. So I'm more happy for them than anything else in the world. They deserve every single thing that they're getting right now. The attention, the accolades they got for during the year, all that stuff came through loyalty. And loyalty to the program, loyalty to BC, and never lost upon me, loyalty to me.
Bobby Manning, CLNS Media. Kai, you seem very free, loose playmaking out there today. Why were you able to be so successful out there?
Just last year, this opportunity I had, I wasn't able to play second half with my team. So this year was even a better feeling for me to get out there and play a game with my teammates.
How big of a part in the outcome was you guys getting into the bonus before that 10
that was
mark?
that was the difference in the game. You know, that we got to the bonus quick. We got to the double bonus quicker than we've gotten to it all year. And you know, we're really good from the line, and it's a great weapon for us. And we've tried to emphasize driving the ball more as we got ready for up here. And so you do pick up some more fouls, but it won the game for us. Our free throw getting there and then making them.
Mike, you said your team's just getting healthy for the first time. They've played a few games together now. What did you guys get out of this tournament, having your starting lineup together for the first time?
I love seeing this group play together for 3 games, you know, and really 4 games when you add Virginia, where he played, you know, his 33 to 35 minutes. So, you know, we're excited about what the next challenge is in postseason, whatever it may be, because we're feeling a little better about ourselves physically.
You know, despite the injuries, the departures, the young team, what do you think allowed you guys to be in play for a tournament spot this year still on Sunday?
Like I said in the beginning, this team has really battled all year. We had a stretch, we lost some games, and we had to go to Louisville, which is obviously a tough place to play, and a very good basketball team, and we won there. And then we had another stretch, then we went to Miami, and we were able to get a win there. You know, we played North Carolina State, a tie game late. We just, you know, we couldn't make a play. But, you know, we had those opportunities, and we had a couple other opportunities early in the year. But these guys have hung in there. It's very difficult when you play. You can play 40 minutes, but not when you play Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's just too much. You know, we've had the last part, just not enough rest days in between. And it's not just the 40 minutes, but when you're, you know, when you have to make plays off the dribble, which we really have to do, it takes an extra toll on you. But like I said, these guys, considering everything, I think they've done everything we could ask them to do. I can't fault anything that this group has done.
Kenny, is foul trouble something you can try to game plan to force on the other team, or is that something you just kind of get and roll with if you are able to?
I think that's part of why Coach wants us to get the ball inside so much, to get the other bigs in foul trouble. And, you know, I think we did a good job of that tonight. Theo, Luke, a couple of the guys got them in foul trouble early, and they weren't able to be effective.
Bobby Manning, CLNS Media. Roy, what's been the key?
Could you direct it to the players so they can leave?
Theo, what's been key to this team's success against the 2-3 zone? Did seeing Syracuse earlier this week help prepare for you at all for this game?
Just playing against the 2-3 zones. I mean, we went through these couple games going against Syracuse and Duke, and we have really good passes on this team. Like I said before, we look for each other, and we're very unselfish, and that's one thing we don't have to worry about. You're willing to move and cut when you know guys are looking for you, so I think that's the biggest thing for us.
Thanks, CLNS Media. Gabe, for you, what was it like playing out there on the perimeter, trying to get into the post against that defense? What makes them different?
They just limit a lot of they just make you take tough shots, limit the easy ones. They do a good job on ball screens, and they're always in good position. So just make you make tough shots, and I had a couple good looks, and they weren't able to go in today.